Hello. So in the last 2 months, I've gone from about 150 subscribers to just over 300. So thank you very much to everyone who has subscribed. Anyone who's new, please subscribe. Ring that notification bell. I get the word right eventually. And yeah, I would just say give me a couple of videos, and then if my content's not for you, unsubscribe. But I'm just saying, give me a go. Okay, to celebrate getting over 300 subscribers. Sorry, I'm very tired. I've had very tough 2 weeks. As you can see, I have my own flat now. I will tell you a little bit about, sorry about that little bang, about that and how and why we shouldn't push ourselves ridiculously far. But first, to celebrate getting over 300 subscribers, I've learned a new joke for you. Chuck Norris once pissed in the the diesel tank of a truck. That truck's name is Optimus Prime. I think I might have screwed that joke up. I think the implication is that him pissing into it, his urine is even so potent that it transformed him from a mere truck into the destiny leader of... Anyway, that doesn't make sense. Let's get to the point. Okay, please check out the link below because Monday last week I did an interview with the editor of Neuro Rehab Times magazine and website with the editor Jessica Brown, and yeah, she just got in touch, and I've checked out the website, and I'm a subscriber now, and it's mainly aimed at neuroscientists and neurodoctors and medical practitioners, but also to anyone who's been through that. So post-concussion syndrome, acquired brain injury, traumatic brain injury, our community. Okay, so getting on to my next point. Okay, I'm just going to quickly tell you about why it's not good to push yourself ridiculously far past your boundaries, because before brain injury, we all have this thing, right? Just like at the beginning of a movie, the main character has an equilibrium, it's called. And then before the story can get going, that equilibrium has to just be sent topsy-turvy. So the main character has to find a way to get to a new equilibrium if the hero is to become a hero at some point in the future. And that, I think, typifies having a traumatic brain injury or acquired brain injury and post-concussion syndrome. That's a long path for us. And the last 2 weeks, basically, I've known for some time that I wanted to move out, but I knew, and I've got confirmation from a doctor recently saying, yes, for you with your chronic hyperacusis, your chronic brain injury caused sensitivity to noise, and various others of my symptoms, he said it's really integral if you can move out as soon as possible, because long and short, there's lots of reasons, but my family situation, it's the capacity there is 4 people and there's 5 now. That's long and short of it. But I'm 35. I was meant to have bought a place. I was looking to buy a place and get a mortgage and everything. I had a mortgage agreed, and then traumatic brain injury happened. So anyway, 2 weeks has been really, really difficult. And then last night I was on my new balcony, and I've had constant pains in my brain, just having to do things really quickly and get on top of things and beat 5 other people to get this flat. But I just refuse to give in. And I often have described that I have like it feels like lightning bolts to my head if I push myself too hard with exertion, focus. That often leads to what feels like a lightning bolt in my head, and then that often causes nausea, so I feel sick, and it massively ramps up my chronic neuro fatigue, which is really bad most of the time anyway. But anyway, so I moved in last night, and I thought I got past the tough bit, and I thought, you know what, I deserve to go to the pub. And the pub I've been going to since the pub's opened is actually less than 10 minutes walk away now. And I went with one of my friends who helped me move. And then later that night I was on the balcony with 2 friends, socially distancing. I had an old enemy of mine, which will bring me on to my next point, reared its ugly head. One of my symptoms is dizziness attacks. Now, the last time I had a dizziness attack was August, late August, might have even been early September last year. Anyway, and at least 2, possibly on 3 occasions when I've had a dizziness attack, I've been walking on a main road and suddenly it's extreme dizziness. I mean, it takes about 30 seconds-ish to really get strong. But on at least 2, but possibly 3 of the occasions, it's almost sent me on stumbling onto oncoming traffic. So it's very lucky that on 2 or 3 occasions post-TBI that I wasn't then finished off by a car. I've had treatments since then, which I thought they hadn't fixed it, but they'd reduced them. But what I mean by it not having happened since August is that it hadn't happened on that level, because actually my dizziness is still pretty common. It's a little bit worrying, but I can normally fight it back. Anyway, I just passed out last night. I got the dizziness attack and it was coming on. I was like, oh my god, this bastard that I never thought was going to fucking come back again. I thought it had been fixed. It's back, so I sat on the ledge. I moved to the ledge in the middle of the balcony, and then I was just gone. And then I was being revived by my friend. He says that I was unconscious for about, I think, 30 or 40 seconds. And I didn't know where I was. I thought it was the voice of a paramedic. I thought, oh, not again. But him and my other friend, Danny, did a good job calming me down. And they didn't tell me I hit my head though, because I've got a bit of when it hurts, you're like, oh. When you know you've bashed it, but I think it's just superficial. But anyway, my private doctor, I've just seen him for the last time, and he's excellent. One of the things he says about traumatic brain injury, now he's a private doctor, he's, that explains it all, he's a consultant, he's high up. And he has warned me before that one of the many reasons why I shouldn't push myself too far past my boundaries is because, twofold. One, I can only make progress if I just push myself a little bit past my boundaries. And he said not every day, so go for build up to 5 days a week, and don't push yourself anywhere near that boundary at least 2 days a week. But basically, he said that around the 1.5 year mark, that is a possibility. He said, we don't know, but he said there's a possibility that certain symptoms might come back as strong as before, possibly stronger, if you push yourself way, way, way too far. Because he really told me off a while ago, because I got really angry that I couldn't lift ridiculous weights 150 times in an hour and a bit. And I was like, I'm not having this, I'm just going to force myself back to how I was. I didn't realise that was impossible. But he said, look, it's really dangerous to do that, and especially for prolonged periods, like days and days and days in a row. Now, I'm still having really acute, when you forget words that are really common, insomnia, yes. But I've had insomnia for the last 1 year and 4 months post-TBI, but the last 2 months, it's been really bad. Like I can't really operate very even okay unless I have at least 9 hours sleep. But I can't go more than a couple of days without 10 hours sleep, or I really start to just sort of go straight down. But I've had maybe 3 days in the last 2 months where I've slept for longer, or as long as sort of 9.5 to 10 hours. And then on top of that, I've had to really push myself to get this flat. But yeah. Well, anyway, this moves on to my next point. Barbara McVeigh. Hello, my friend. Thank you very much for saying that I don't look like an abducted turnip, as I claimed in one of my previous videos. Also, she brought up a good point about how it's so difficult to focus and to build up consistency and get anywhere near entelechy post TBI, and that reminded me to say in this video that the private doctor also said, and he did touch on saying that he thinks that would apply to most of us. He said, don't give up on building up a work ethic again. The problem, he suggested, was that we keep thinking that we can't build up a work ethic again because we're trying to build up the same work ethic as we had before, the same pattern, the same approach. And he said, that's the problem. You're not the same as you were before. And he said he can't promise it's doable, but he said there's evidence to suggest that there is a way back, but it's like the most intricate maze. It might be, if it's possible, but I got the impression he fully believes it. It's more about the medical situation with traumatic brain injury and ABI and PCS, that they don't have the answers, and the good doctors admit that. But he said there is reason to be optimistic, and he basically hinted that we talked a lot more about my previous career as an actor, and his reaction was pretty much like, "What? Why didn't you tell me this before?" And I said, "Well, you've been employed by my employer, yeah, that's correct actually, and I was trying to get back to my job. It was never a career, and he's already said you ain't coming back." And I just said, I told him about the novel stuff, just because the previous 4.5 hours to 5 hours, I think, 4.5 hours I spoke to him, spent time with him. Last time was on video though, the other 2 were in person. They were always about, TBI, but this was very clear from him. That's the last one because he's helped me as much as he can. But he said, "This is brilliant. I'm so glad you told me." And I told him about it. He said, how often were you employed as an actor? Because most actors are out of work 90% of the time-ish, right? Or is it less than that? I said, no, it's a bit more than that. It's at least 90% of good actors are out of work at any one time. And he said, how often were you employed? And I'd actually worked that out recently. I keep doing that, working out random things that people then want the answer for a few days later. And I said 50% of the time. I was employed as an actor 50% of the time for 6 years. And I was cast by Sam Mendes, who directed American Beauty and 2 Bond films with Daniel Craig's. And I performed some of my writing for Simon Russell Beale, who played King Lear in Sam Mendes' Royal National Theatre production of King Lear, where I was essentially a glorified extra for that one, but I did have to act my fucking arse off to impress Sam Mendes and get cast, as did my fellow supernumerary cast members. But I did give myself a line in it, and Sam Mendes didn't cut it out, kept it in. So, but I spoke about that, and he said if you've already made a living half the time in a profession where that's a real achievement, he said it's really possible that you could make it, or potentially. He said take your time, and basically what he told me is to keep trying new approaches to building up a work ethic again. He said the best way to start, because I'm not last night underlined everything, but he said to slowly try and get that 1 hour from 9 till 10 between Monday and Friday, and make a plan and stick to it, and just aim for the hour, and get to the point in a few months where you can just finish the book. He said you don't even have to worry, because I'd finished my first draft of my novel pretty much just before my TBI. I haven't finished the second draft yet because I can't work as fast and everything, but I do think I'm about right now, which is really odd. Once I started working on it again, I've been working hard on become right for years, but it felt like my sort of standard quality as a writer just suddenly, once I was able to put pen to paper again, so to speak, suddenly went from there to there. Maybe, we'll see. because only I've been reading my stuff for years, so maybe I'm a hack. Well, I'm not a hack, because I've written about 2 million words towards a novel that's going to be, I'm aiming for about 70,000, but it's the best stuff, and it might take a couple more years. But anyway, sorry, I've done one of my rambly ones, haven't I? Oh yeah, so the article below, please give that a read. It's a brilliant article. We spoke for an hour and a half, had a great chat. Jessica's also an aspiring writer like myself, and what was it I was going to say about? Oh yeah, she just sums up. It's a really short article, but it's so to the point and hits the truth. And I thought, wow. But I've read her articles previously after she got in touch, and I was like, she's a damn good writer, man. But the point, what I'm getting at is, I can't remember. Oh yeah, she makes a really good point at the beginning of the article, saying I'm a reluctant YouTuber. Finally, I've admitted it. Hi, I'm James Inkson Stevens. I am a reluctant YouTuber. But the point is this: I don't want to do these, but I do want to do these because my motivation is different from other YouTubers. I want to help myself, and I want to help connect our community. The other day, when I spoke to her, I don't think she put it in the article, but I was trying to express how I feel. I feel like something happened when I died. That's not what I was saying. I don't feel I know something happened when I died. And I was like, I don't know. You can say, so loads of people to cry and go, no, yeah, you didn't. Or it was just a dream, but I was dead. So I don't know how a dead person can really dream, but there's a lot of debate on that. But anyway, I remember conversing not quite like a human converses with another human. It was largely conceptual, a bit like when a thought is instant. But there were some words as well, from without to within. And more about sort of coming back. And I've touched on it before. It's just a little bit deeper than what I already remembered from my near-death experience when I was dead for 2 or 3 minutes at least. And I think memories are very untrustworthy, right? But to a certain extent, they're trustworthy. I know. I've had confirmation from a doctor and a specialist that I died. But anyway, while I was dead, there was a choice. It was like it didn't feel like a test. From what I know, I always felt this, but it sort of feels like it's coming back, like little bits of memory around this are coming back too. And it was more like a sort of casual question. It's like, how do you feel about not being James Stevens, not being James Inkson Stevens anymore? And I knew what that meant on a certain level, but I wasn't thinking how I normally think, that's for sure. I knew that it meant, it was like a trick question in a way though. It was like almost saying, it was trying to find out for real, to stop me from lying, to find out if I was actually afraid of death. And I think I actually said, like, cutting the shit, I said something like, I wasn't afraid of death before this happened. I'm ready to go on. And then the response was, it was almost like it wasn't this, but it felt like this. It was like, good. In that case, you're going back. And I wasn't too happy or surprised. And I said, I don't need to. And the response was, you do. Your task isn't done. Is it even begun? Or something like that. And I feel like my task now, one of them, the main one, is to be a lighthouse keeper for our worldwide traumatic brain injury and acquired brain injury and post-concussion syndrome and all the other similar and interrelated, or everything that falls under those categories. I mean, because many other things do. You can't just have one lighthouse. So I'm aware I feel like that's what I'm trying. I feel like that's what I'm meant to do. And I know I've got to get better at these. But that's the task. So many of us, the ones of us that are connected right now, the ones that are watching us, if you've just stumbled across this, you've stumbled across a really fortunate, minuscule minority. If there's about 60,000 of us connected, and there are 64 million of us added, brand new, every single year, and they're probably under guessing, think about how many feel all alone. And I dread to think where I'd be right now if I was shown the light of the truth that I was positive I was all alone, but then I was shown via being introduced to the private groups on Facebook that was bullshit. That was a terrible lie. It always comes from negativity. Anything negative, it's always a really convincing crock of horseshit that you believe until you see the truth, and then the truth sets you free. And I can't help that much. Maybe I never can, but I'm going to keep building on these. And I do these in one take. I'm that good. It's lucky, because I wouldn't be able to do these otherwise if I didn't, because I had 3 areas of traumatic brain injury and 1 assault. And it's lucky, it's a fucking miracle, not one of those didn't take out my talking, my confidence, and my ability to convey on the level that I can. Because if I didn't have these things intact, I wouldn't be able to do a 1-take video with just, they're my notes, and I never normally make notes because I just try and hold things quickly in my head and just quickly get to them before they go away, but relatively often forever. Okay, so in conclusion, my point is this. I'm doing my best to act as a lighthouse keeper, to signal to everyone who's in the dark that you are not alone, come this way. And I can prove you're not alone, because you can join us. And there are others, and it feels like something's happening. And I'll be honest, I'd quite like to get to a point where there is a really strong public group, which I think is really building up now, with my friend Brooke, whose episode of A Battle Within is going to come out in a couple of days, and I'm going to put the link under here. So if you're watching this after Monday the 27th of July 2020, then the link to my interview and article feature in the Neuro Rehab Times, and Brooke Knisley's podcast guest episode on A Battle Within podcast, which, if you don't know about that yet, it's a brilliant podcast with nearly 75 episodes, and it's a married couple who are directly affected by traumatic brain injury. The wife, Terry, she's had multiple TBIs, and her and her husband host the show together, and it's so good. I'm a real listener now, and I was introduced to it when I was asked to be a guest, and I put Brooke and them in touch, and I've heard a clip, and I just feel like this is going to be a podcast for everyone. But I feel like these videos are for everyone too, not just our community, but they are obviously first and foremost, the vast majority are, but my videos are broadly about overcoming adversity, because for 15 years I was hunted by fear, by anxiety, constantly attacked and taken down, and I went lower and lower and lower. But I trounced and defeated that foe a long time ago. I've got to actually check myself, because sometimes I'm tempted to not have any respect for it anymore, because it's so high above it do I now stand. But the truth is, I only am able to keep fear and anxiety in that place of it being constantly and categorically trounced by, it's almost like my mental strength and all that other stuff, is almost like a fort. And I know that I can keep it in that position if I keep mending and fixing the ramparts and oiling the gate and sharpening the weapons. And also I make sure that I, at the very least, do 2 or 3 things every day that's a bit scary, that I'm a bit like, I'll just put it off once, and I never put it off. if it's something that I feel that tiny little touch, that little sprinkle, that little ingredient of herbs or herbs of fear, then I just go and take that fucker down, because I have a new foe, and that foe is, I guess it's the negative. It's that lie. It's almost like an invisible cloud where the vast majority of my worldwide community believe they're alone, and they're not. And I'm involved in a new hunt, but this time I'm not the hunted, I'm the hunter. And maybe I can't help much, but I'm gonna fucking well help as much as I can. And it gives me a bit of a fire in my belly. It does give back to me too. And it does take a lot out of me also, but it's worth it. And I'm going to marry. I don't need to marry it with my novel. My novel was already about that stuff. Obviously it's changed a bit, but it's deeper now. Okay. I really thought I'd manage like a 12-minute video today. I'm not cutting it. So Joe Rogan says, if you just want to watch 6 minutes of me, great. Or if I'm not interesting enough, then fine. But I will keep getting better. I'm going to keep getting better. Yeah. I think I've touched on everything. Well, I've got all the notes, but they're all smudged. Okay, much love. And there was a couple of things. That's alright, I'll touch on them next time. Yeah, subscribe, hit that notification bell, like, and maybe share if you want to, because the more the public figures in this community become visible, then the more connected we'll all be, the more, and on a lot of the groups, the connections, the interactions aren't enough, and that's fine. But as soon as the community becomes more and more in touch with each other, the people that want to talk all the time will be able to. I got this theory, and it's in my novel, and I've lived it. I know it's true. I've seen it so many times, categorically, that when a process is completely positive, you know, because there are several other positive things which spring out from it, almost like the roots of a tree. And it's the same with something that's negative. Like when I used to drink alcohol to get confident when I was 17, you know, there'd be an initial positive, because I'd feel confident for a few hours, but then there'd be multiple negatives, because the girl who liked me when I was drunk would then see that I actually wasn't really confident anymore, like I was when I was a kid. And hangovers and, you know, lots, you know, you get it. Give it some thought yourself. Because that's the thing about truth. When you look at it and you test it, it's always, the evidence is always categoric, cast iron and irrefutable. Right, much love and shut up now. Goodbye.